Hey everyone, this is your favorite socialite Neffy. It is your favorite day of the week, New Music Mondays, and it ain't 6 o'clock, but it's certainly time for ATL legend, Greg Street to rock. How you doing, Mr. Greg Street?
I'm good.
Good. So now I was just telling you, we got to talk about it all. I want to know it all. So the Streets is saying that you got the most recognizable voice in the game. You hear your voice, people already know what time it is. What does that mean to you? You know, just your legendariness and all of that you've been able to contribute to radio thus far.
I guess when you communicate with real people on a real level, they remember.
You real.
Yeah.
You real. You raw. You just gonna give it to them, no chaser, huh?
Yeah.
I like it. And tell me about that journey because, as I just mentioned, you know, you've been working in Houston and Dallas and Mississippi and Alabama, and now you've had Atlanta on lock for a long time. So how has that journey just been in just all those different cities? And do you have a favorite one that you worked in?
I mean, all of them are like my favorites. But it's been like you said, it's a journey. Like it's just all about, you know, making moves and trying to set up the next move, and then you start to understand God's plan and how God's timing. Everything is not going to happen when you want it to happen,
right?
But it'll certainly happen when it's supposed to happen.
Tell me about some of those peak moments in your career. Some of those moments where you knew like you were doing exactly what God intended you to do.
Probably when I left Mississippi, got my first kind of big gig in Alabama at BLX in Mobile, because my mom is from Mobile.
Oh, okay.
So, and I'm from Hattiesburg, which is like 90 miles from Mobile. So coming to Mobile as a kid was like on the weekends, like when you going to the city. So then you get a chance. You get a chance to work there. So then, of course, it was a big move going from Mobile, which is market size 88, to Houston, which was market size 7. So that was big. Then that was 1990. Then 92. I went to Dallas. I can't remember. 92. I do some easy math, but 92 I went to Dallas, and then 95 I came to Atlanta.
Wow. And this 2022.
2022.
So you've been ripping and
working. Three of those years from 02 to 05, I did Dallas and Atlanta. So I used to fly back and forth.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Did you enjoy that time?
It was cool.
Okay. That's cool.
It was cool. Like, cause you know, once you up, you gotta just go do it.
Hello.
Let's go get it.
You had to make
Let's go get it done. Not just to work. Just go get it done.
You had to go. Okay, I like that. You got that hustle mentality. You just like.
Yeah, when you're really about your craft and what you're doing, the money is important, but it's not important. You know, it's just like it's just part of. It's just I guess as people say, the fruit of your labor, but you're not really focusing on it.
Yeah.
Especially if you're making enough, you ain't got to really work. You know what I'm saying?
There's this old saying my pastor used to say, do something that you love so much that you do it for free, but be so good at it that people want to pay you for it.
Exactly.
I think you're a true testament to that. What about some of the lows? Because this media life ain't for the weak. So tell me about some of those downfalls, maybe some of those pitfalls and hard moments that you had in your career and how you were able to push through those.
When I was in Houston in like 91, my sister passed away, and I wanted to move to New Orleans because it was closer.
Yeah.
And there was a job over there in New Orleans, and there was actually a black consultant that consulted the station in New Orleans, and I found out this years later because I'm friends with people who was working at the time. They was like, he said, your man, somebody, because it was somebody I know. He's like, your man told the general manager that, you know, they had already hired a dark skin to do morning, so they didn't want to hire another dark skin guy to do the night show.
Lord. Why do we always do that? Why do we be like your friend said or your man said, no, they ain't gonna they ain't do something that we like, or we ain't cool with them for whatever.
I'm still cool with them because it's like it's still all part of God's plan.
Absolutely.
It's still bigger than people that think they're making those decisions that's gonna stop you from making a move, and then it turns into a bigger move.
That's real.
Because instead of going to New Orleans, I went to Dallas. Nice. And the same guy called me and told me in 1995, don't go to Atlanta. You can't save V103.
What?
The same guy sent me a message saying, don't stay in Dallas. Don't go to Atlanta. You can't save V103.
Can't save V103. And you sing here years later with a V103 shirt.
That was 27, almost 28 years ago.
Wow. Almost 30 years ago. Woo, that is crazy. So do you feel like you saved me 103? Not literally. You're a humble man, so you're not gonna say like.
Nah.
Do you feel like you've assisted in just them being such the people station? You know what I'm saying?
Well, for years the strategy was I took 4 hours and beat Hot and all the other stations that was going after the hip hop audience. But because I understand radio from another perspective than most people that's getting into radio, I also knew how to keep the upper end. So not just having the 1824s and the 1217s, I still was number one with the 1834s, 1849s, and 2554s.
Wow.
So it was like a unique blend of just really, and it's really just all about understanding the audience.
Absolutely.
Because we try to put everybody in a box, but when you're involved in the culture and you really understand the culture, you can't put the culture in a box. It's about you knowing the people. Because if you're using research to try to tell me how the job is done, and I'm out here with the people, I'm already looking at what you're reading because I'm with the people every day. But you got to go research the people. So,
and cool, you've done your research. You've done the work. You've done the work, and it shows. I want to go back though. What inspired you to even get into radio in the first place? Like, what made you decide that this was going to be your lifelong passion in your career? Because there's a lot of people that want to do it, and they swear they good, and they may not be good, or they just don't know, or they go back and forth, or we get stuck in the rat race of not being able to make money. So what made you decide that this was your dream, your passion?
The crazy story is, okay, when I was in high school, I used to do parties, like high school parties after the football games. So when I got out of like at the community centers. So after I got out of high school, I was still doing them. And right after I got out, I started actually my senior year in high school. I used to go to the radio station, and there was a guy that worked at the station who's been there for years. And at that time, it was only a daytime AM station. They was getting ready to put on a 24-hour FM station that year. So, but I used to go to the radio station to buy advertisement for my parties because I wanted to do something different that the other DJs wasn't doing. Everybody else was just doing flyers. So like, I'm gonna put my shit on the radio. You know, so I started going to the radio station, and the guy Harvey Knight, who was working at the station, he would do the morning show, and he would do afternoons too, because you know in small cities it's hard to get talent because you don't really have the budget to pay them. So, but in the later part of the spring and summertime of the year, the daytime stations stay on till like 8, 9 o'clock. So he wanted to get somebody young to come work. So I started working at the radio station on the weekends, and then come to find out around that same time when I started going to the station, come to find out the guy who owned the station actually went to high school with my mom in Mobile at Mobile County Training School. He was the first, Vernon C. Floyd, he was actually the first black man to build his own radio station. But he was a licensed engineer through the military, but he had built radio stations for other people. But he actually, I think, was the engineer that put 93 BLX on the air in Mobile. But to get radio stations back in the day, you had to file for the frequency, be approved, and then some of them wasn't built, so you had to build it yourself. So him being an engineer, he knew how to build a building, lay the foundation, put the studio together, everything. He did everything.
I love it. That is crazy.
But that was also a gift and a curse.
Oh, what was first?
I mean, for him, because the radio stations, to us as young people, never could really get to its full potential, because this was like the beginning of hip hop. You know, back then, those people, they didn't,
we were still being introduced.
They was like, y'all can play the instrumentals, but y'all can't play them songs. That's how crazy it was.
Back in the day.
And then I actually left that station and went to work for a white station. I went to work for a white station, a white AC station where I did 7 to midnight. And then I toured around with one of my friends who was big in radio, one of my OGs. He worked at a country radio station. I used to mess around with them too a little bit at Country KNZ. And I worked at WHSY, the white AC station. And that's where I really learned a whole lot of tricks that most people don't understand, how I know how to keep an audience. Because in white radio, they're really serious about radio. In black radio, we all about new music and just shit that really don't really matter.
So what the white folks talking about? Well, what are they like?
It's a whole lot of different. It gets real deep. I mean, it really gets real deep on how, when it comes to time spent listening, quarter hours, and understanding how. Right.
Okay, got it.
Right, but in urban radio in small markets and at small stations, it's just really about trying to have somebody come do the job.
Okay. they just need the seat filled.
They just need the seat filled. We ain't got no money, but if you can halfway hold it down,
Lord, not halfway.
And if you can grow into the business and understand what's going on, that's up to you. So me, I was the person that was always trying to learn, reading and just learning and studying. I studied everybody, Tom Joyner to Bobby Jimmy, which was Russ Parr, to Bobby OJ in Memphis, and just people all over the country. Because they had the magazines, they had the BRE magazine. And then when I went to the White Station, they had the radio, the R&R magazine, the Gavin magazine. So it was a lot of different publications before the internet. Because a lot of people don't understand radio was really the first social media.
I was gonna ask about that too. I was gonna get right into that. Like, now that I know it's been a 30-year career span, what would you say are some of the bigger differences between radio then and now? Which I'm sure social media.
It's really no different. Just radio. A lot of people talk about like the podcasting and playlists, but it's like, if I want to listen to music, do I just want to listen to music? But and a lot of us, we just want to hear music. We just want to dance. We don't want no information. Yeah. But then once you do it for so long, and then then the light clicks off. It's like, I'm listening to my playlist all day on Spotify, Apple Music, or whatever, but Pandora, but I'm not getting no information.
That's why you just said radio.
Yeah, so it's like, it's the first social media, because if the power goes out, if the internet go out, power go out, what's the first thing you turn on?
The radio, of course.
Exactly. So that's why I tell people all the time, radio's not really ever going to go anywhere, because it's not like the internet. You can't turn. I mean, budgets are going to be different, and the way things are done are going to be different, but it's never going to go anywhere because it's not controlled. Like, you got to think, somebody owns the internet. They can turn that off whenever they get ready. And then the weather can make your internet go out. You know what I'm saying? So, but radio is totally different. It may go out, but it'll come back on faster. Right? Exactly. I'm not gonna say it's forever. There's always gonna be something new, but but also you have to understand. You have to know how to grow with the times. You have to understand when things change. How do you adjust and get better, and how you figure out to make your lane more important or make it relevant. Reinvent yourself.
You got to reinvent. Yeah. You don't have to invent the wheel, but I guess you got to reinvent the wheel.
Because right now, podcasting is really just like when internet radio first came.
Yeah, it's taking over.
But it's going to be hard to take over, because what's going to happen, anybody can do it. So if anybody can do it, the only people that are really going to be able to benefit from it are the people that are on the top. So if you got 1 million people doing it, if everybody's doing it, it's going to eventually get to a place just like internet radio did. When everybody say they got a radio station. Everybody had a radio station. Oh, this is about to be it. This is about to be the new thing.
That's the thing, yeah.
So it's like, but it's, when things like that get overcrowded, there's no regulation. There's no, you know what I'm saying? It's like, anybody can do it.
Anybody can do it. You just lose that exclusivity of it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It just kind of becomes a thing where people just doing it just to do it.
And then,
almost for the clap.
And then a lot of people think when they see you doing something like that, everybody think it's easy because you make it look easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when they jump in the water, they be like, oh, this water cold.
Okay. You gonna sink or swim? You gonna jump or drown? What you gonna do? Also, I wanna end it like this. Tell me, you have the pleasure of meeting so many dope artists, especially when they're on the come up. Young Dog, Lil Baby, just a bunch of up and coming artists. Are you able to tell when they're sitting there like this person gonna make it, or maybe they ain't gonna make it, or they got it in them, or are you just kind of one of those like, if they sit here, then they already on?
Nah, that's always been one of my special talents, is understanding the artists and understanding people and what they bring to the game, and just,
Yeah.
You've heard a lot of the stories, so we won't get into all the different artists.
Greg Street is no longer just on at 6 o'clock. Tell them your new day part. I had no clue you switched it. Tell us.
Well, it's only like 2 or 3 weeks. This might be the second or third week.
Oh, that's why. Okay,
yeah.
Well, everybody know.
3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock. 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and 6 o'clock on V103. Download the Odyssey app. You can listen from anywhere, and tune in. Hey, what up? It's Greg Street. I'm hanging out with Social Neffy. New music money with the Coalition DJs. You know what we doing.